Whatever just happened, blame it on the pig. Moana was written and directed by Ron Clements and John Musker, who have worked on previous Disney projects like Aladdin and Hercules. Check out the respective IMDb pages for the full list of their work. And there was also other co-direction, co-writing, co-whatever the fuck by Don Hall and Chris Williams, who have also worked on other animated projects. And this features a young island native named Moana in a movie called Moana. Surely you jest, Disney. Don't hit us over the head with something so goddamn monumentally earth-shattering. So, speaking of earth-shattering, let's just say the Earth is about to split wide open because of a certain incident perpetrated by Maui, voiced by Rock the Dwayne Johnson, who's a demigod that stole something and now some entity is here to get it back in one form or another. And everybody must solve this mystery before all their lives are history. Moana Tales, woohoo! So yes, Moana came back out in 2016. A sequel is coming up in just a couple weeks, and I decided to revisit this because I've seen it once. I thought it was alright. Wanted to see if my opinion changed in the last 8 or so years, and you know what? It's alright. There are some eye-popping visuals, and there's some decent chemistry between Luli Cravalho, who voices Moana. I probably didn't even get close to pronouncing that name correctly. And Rock the Dwayne Johnson. There's other, good voice acting as well. Rachel House, not in the middle of the street, not Rachel House. We don't see something deplete. Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to refer to Talking Heads back there. So, nevertheless, also Nicole Scherzinger, or Scherzinger, however you say her goddamn name, she had a voice in this, and Alan Tudyk. So, let me just say this. Moana has some good parts. I like Hey Hey, the rooster, and, Pua isn't really featured all that much. That's the pig. And there are a couple decent songs, but for me personally, I feel that Moana got a little bit overhyped. It also wasn't exactly the most critically, or commercially successful of all the Disney movies of recent years. I'll take Encanto over this. Frozen was way more well-received and made a lot more money. And it cost $150 million. Does that include marketing? Who goddamn knows? It had a $56.6 million opening, and it had just under $250 million for U.S. gross, and had $643.3 million worldwide. So, it was successful enough to warrant a sequel, but the thing is this really going to make as much as the other? Because ticket prices haven't changed a fuck ton in the last 8 years. And also, there's going to be Wicked. There's going to be other movies coming out, with Moana 2 getting released for Thanksgiving weekend. That being said, I will see it as early as possible. But nevertheless, you have the Heart of Te-Fiti that basically being stolen by Maui, resurrected or brought up this, entity, this lava entity, Tekha Chop. And now Moana wants to take to the high seas, basically to go on an adventure. And this story is told by her grandmother, voiced by Rachel House, by the way. And I do have to say that's actually a good character, too. Hey Hey made me laugh just because it's a stupid rooster doing stupid, sight gags. It's just funny because I'm immature. And it was just a stupid rooster doing silly stuff. Didn't have to have a voice, just... And then... See, that's funny. That's funny to me because I'm simplistic like that. So, basically, the dad doesn't want her to go near the reef or go beyond the reef, that is, but she eventually ends up having to. The dad does say the island gives us what we need, and they're in this proper village, and it is a nice island paradise, but the thing is things are going to start encroaching on this particular thing. We do see how Maui stole the heart from this island, stole the heart for whatever reason, this demigod, and then we see the horrific result. I will say, by the way, that this is going to be filled with spoilers because it has been out for 8 goddamn years, and spoiling this isn't really going to take very long, but that's your cue to basically kick out if you don't want to know any more. So, the second one looks like it's just going to be more of the same, by the way. But the dad lost his friend on the high seas. He could not save him. That's why he wants to save his daughter. That's understandable, being overprotective, that kind of stuff. The biggest issue I have with this is the music doesn't pop. Like, the stuff with Moana and her family, the stuff with Moana and the grandmother actually specifically is probably the strength of this particular thing. There are a few decent little banter points with her and Maui, but there is a kind of a nice thing where the sea, or the ocean, takes care of Moana, bringing her back up and, saving her from all this kind of weird stuff. There's this conch shell that shows up at one point, and, an indication that she needs to go beyond the reef. And then she crashes her boat. The grandmother doesn't say anything. Whatever just happened, blame it on the pig. And then she finds this weird... Instead of stacking her, her stone on this big stack of stones to become the tribal chief, ooh-rah, stick up the ones, as it were. She's shown by her grandmother, there's this old drum, this old native thing, and she does that. She basically bangs that, bang your drum. She needs to take this heart of, the heart of Te Fiti to, basically back to restore the whole nation to its former glory. It's like the island nations in Suikoden 4, but with slightly better writing. And also didn't drag on as long. And didn't have such an anticlimactic finish. Who the fuck remembers the Suikoden games? You remember Suikoden 4? My God. Anyway, so the grandma says, go off and do this. She finds Maui about 35 minutes in. Moana does. They do some comedy. What can I do? What can I say except you're welcome? His tattoos, the native tattoos and everything. There's this one particular one that's like pushing him to go back. I guess that's supposed to be funny. So, there's other, there's he's afraid of the stone because he knows what he did. And basically the stone is a beacon of death. Then there are these weird creatures, the Kakamora, I believe is how it's said. Coconut creatures that are not fearsome. I guess they're supposed to be cute. I guess it could be fearsome in mass, but the, Hey swallows the goddamn thing, the stone, and they must, make sure it's okay. It's like romancing a stone, but with slightly less hand losing, which I actually shouldn't say given what happens a little bit later on. So they have to get the stone, save the world. There's this talk of Wayfinder, being a proper Wayfinder, find a way somewhere. Geez, and something called Wayfinder. Talk about legit. So there's this, he needs to go find his hook because he's been banished to this island or whatever for 1,000 years, yet his hair still looks great. And then they go to this land of monsters and bright colors and everything. It's like Strange World, only better. Because Strange World was weird. There's a singing crab monster that has the hook, but because Maui has not had the hook for so long and because he did something bad, there's transformations that keep happening with all this. He keeps transforming into weird creatures. He needs to harness the power of the hook and also learn to atone for his sins. I guess. The crab monster part, it was colorful, I will say that, but I don't know. None of the villains were particularly scary, mainly because there really was no villain in this at the end. So, I did like the shark head part. That was kind of funny, play into the finish of the movie a little bit later. They try to go and stop Tekka and restore the stone. That doesn't work. The hook gets damaged. And let's just say Maui is a little bit pissed off and decides to leave. Without my hook, I am nothing. So he leaves. And she, Moana's upset, puts the stone to the ocean, says, please choose someone else. The grandmother shows up. Grandmother referred to herself coming back as one of their stingrays. And then Steve Irwin's daughter got attacked. I'm sorry, I'm not. She ends up, talking to her and says, if you want to go back, let's go back. And Moana isn't sure she wants to. Why do you hesitate? She decides to make one final push. And she does by going through this inlet that she saw earlier and succeeding and realizing that if Tekka touches the water, gets damaged because lava and all that. Lava on water, it kind of causes some issues. So, goes that alone. Maui shows back up because of course he fucking does. Hey saves the stone and then just stumbles around because it's a stupid rooster. I'm amazed Disney got away with showing a wet cock on, in animated form, but nevertheless, Maui shows back up, and the hook does get destroyed, but he basically does kind of a distraction thing, kind of like a weird native dance stuff. And meanwhile, Moana is all the way on this other part of the island, sees that the shape of the island is the same as Tekka. That's the alive island. The island is pissed. The island wants basically to be restored. Once what was once its, I guess. English, motherfucker, I don't speak it. It wants its shit back. It wants its soul back. Give me the green stone. So then basically turn it back to its rightful place. She manages to say part the water there. Let her come to me. She lets her come to her. Gets her to basically calm down, puts the stone back in her. She is the island, and they're gonna, stay on it all night long. So, she apologizes for the hook being damaged. Hook or no hook, I am Maui. Then, Tekka rises back up, looking a lot like Moana, just green. And Maui apologizes, gets a new hook. It would be rude to reject an offer from the goddess. And Maui basically takes off. And things are going good. Things are going good for the island paradise. Things are going fine. Maui shows up, and then we go to the credits. And that's your sequel hook right there, I guess. Look, it's not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. But as far as anything proper for Disney, I don't know. It just... B- to B. I mean, it's decent, but it's not great. Like, I waffle between those two grades. Because while I like some parts of it, there's no element of danger. There's no element of, okay, this is like, it's a good message. Don't get me wrong. But it's just, there's no element of, yeah, these people are going to be damaged. Or it's gonna, no. It kind of just happens. See, I mean, I guess B-. It is what it is. It's not a bad movie. I'll see what the sequel brings. I am going to travel a little bit further to go see one at about 9 a.m. on, Tuesday the 25th, I believe. That being said, let me know what you thought of the first Moana in the comments, please. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description, and Letterboxd and Blue Sky handle in the description. I do also want to say I'm probably not going to be on Twitter a ton more, especially if a potential merger does end up happening. But for now, follow me there if you want. I'm John Rethmund. I'll see you soon.